I'm joined by Bearcats senior track and field athlete Matt Baker. Matt, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule to talk with us today. First question, probably the easiest. How are you doing? It's certainly been a trying couple of weeks for everybody. So how you holding up?
I'm doing surprisingly well, honestly. Like a lot of people are saying how they're going stir crazy, but I've been completely fine. Like there are times where I'm like, oh, I really need to get outside, and I'll go for like a run or something like that, or I'll do like a quick workout. But otherwise, I've been holding up pretty well, surprisingly. It hasn't really hit me. I mean, it has hit me that this is really going on, but it hasn't really mentally broke me yet. So hopefully I stay okay because I've been pretty good so far.
Now you're from the city, but you're not currently in the city. Tell us where you are and why you chose to be there.
So I'm actually at my girlfriend's place in Albany, Clifton Park to be exact. And I'm staying here because the city is a place that is a hot zone and I want to avoid it at all costs until things have died down. So luckily I was able to come here because her mom offered for me to stay here, which I was blessed for the opportunity to do. So I've been here for the past 4 weeks or so, and that's just kind of the opportunity presented itself, and I took it. So I've been pretty happy to be able to stay here.
What were the discussions like with your own family when you basically told them that, yeah, I don't want to come home to the city?
They completely understood. They were just like, just stay away if you can because they didn't want me to be coped up in the apartment for weeks on end because I think I would have actually, the stir crazy would have probably happened sooner if I were there. So they completely understood and they just know that whatever is the safest, smartest decision is the one for me to make. So they were happy for me to be able to stay here because they understand me wanting to avoid being in the city. But they do miss me, of course, and I miss them, but they know that this is for the better, so.
That was going to be my next question. How have you been able to keep in touch, or how often have you talked to your family back home?
Well, I mean, we have a group chat that we talk in pretty much daily, and then I FaceTime them like probably weekly or so, just for updates and whatever on their end and my end. And then I talk to my sisters fairly often just to check in and see how they're doing. So we keep in pretty close contact just routinely, but I would say like I actually like FaceTime them just to see how they're doing probably once a week or so.
Now, your girlfriend's mother is working in a hospital in a unit that's dealing a lot with the coronavirus. You mentioned that you don't see her all that much because of how much she's at work, but is there any concern, for health reasons, being in such close proximity to someone who is dealing directly with this pandemic?
Partly yes, more for her than me and us because she just wants to avoid contact with us as much as possible. So we remain 6 feet apart when we do see her and whatnot. We just take all the necessary precautions, but it's more her telling us what's best for us to do with regards to the work that she does. And we do our best to make sure that we abide by those rules just because she's one of those heroes in those times that really just does that extra work that needs to be appreciated. So for her sake, we just do everything we possibly can to just make sure that whatever she thinks is necessary that we do. So
You mentioned, her being one of the heroes in this time. How have you seen, this whole, maybe the stress of this whole thing? Has it taken any toll, and how is she keeping positive, going through what she's had to deal with?
well, I mean, she's always been a super strong woman. That's just always, she's a super hard worker and she's just a great person overall. So, I mean, I can see how like tired she is after long days of work, but she's perseveres and it's just really admirable to see it. So, it's just something that's within her personality and her work ethic. She's just a strong person that I just, I see how it's wearing on her, but she just perseveres and her off days, she just takes advantage of it to really relax and like rest up and whatnot. So I just I can see it taking the toll, but I just know that she's just her personality will allow her to get through anything. So
I certainly don't want to get you in trouble, but how are things going with your girlfriend being this close to her for this long? Any tests in the relationship?
no, we've been doing surprisingly well, and I would say surprisingly because some people like they're just like, how have you guys gotten not gotten like so sick of each other, but I just try my best to give her space when I feel like she needs it, because I just know at the end of the day that she is handling this maybe differently than I am. So for that sake, I just try to my best to give her space whenever I think that she needs it or whenever I think that I need it. So sometimes like I'll do a workout alone, or she'll do a workout alone, or she'll go on like a run by herself or go on a walk by herself. Or we'll just do work in different rooms just for the sake of not being around each other, because I understand how necessary it is to not be with each other 24 hours a day. So I just understand that, and I give her space when I feel like she needs it, when she wants it, just for the sake of her mental, just for the sake of her sanity, honestly, because I could get sick of me for being with me for 4 weeks straight. So I just try my best to just understand that and act accordingly. So
How have you been keeping busy? You mentioned working out, but have you picked up any hobbies or maybe revisited any hobbies? Having someone there, maybe board games, card games. What have you been doing?
I've been playing a lot of Xbox. I've been playing a lot of Xbox, and I do on some walks and I do some running, and I'm not really a runner. I do triple jump and long jump, but running has really been therapeutic because I don't really like to run for miles or whatever, but when you're coped up in the house for a long time, it really becomes something that you look forward to on the daily, just being able to go outside and actually just enjoy Mother Nature, honestly. And being in the suburbs has really made me appreciate all that there is to nature and whatnot. So that, and then I started today or recently this week, I give myself personal challenges for the week just to like test myself for to see things I can do to just better myself. So this one, I just told myself I wouldn't listen to the genre of music I tend to frequent, just for the sake of just exploring new types of music and whatnot. And then I'll probably start a new one next week, just anything I can do to try to better myself. So I started that recently, and I'll probably stick with that because I think that'll be a good way to kind of change the days around with what I've been doing on the daily. So
What inspired you to give that a try?
I honestly have just been thinking about, I just was doing the exact same thing for like 4 weeks straight. I go to class, go play Xbox for like a couple hours, and then like go eat or cook or whatever, and then just listen to the same music. And I just got so tired of it one day, and I was like, I need to do something different. Like something needs to be different. So I was just thinking, what can I do? And that's the first thing I thought of. And I said, you know what? Let me just try to make this something that I do like weekly. So I think next week I'm gonna try to just, I don't know, pick up a random book and read it from cover to cover, or I don't know, try to see if I can go like vegan for a week. I don't know. Anything that I can just try to do to experiment and really test myself, I'm just gonna try to do. But I don't know. I kind of just got so sick of the monotony that I was like, I need to figure out something that can give a little bit of spark in my life, and that was that. So
I might have to give that a try as well. That sounds certainly more fun than
it keeps life a little more interesting. It definitely keeps things interesting. I realize you gotta find new ways to keep yourself occupied and interested in this time, because the things that you do frequently, they get really, really, you get tired of them to the point where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. So
now transitioning to your athletic side of things. You mentioned triple jump and long jump are your main events. You got to complete your indoor season. You had some success. You set the school record for, I believe it was triple jump.
yes, I did.
Yes, school record for triple jump. Top 10 finishes at the conference indoor track meets. Poised, obviously, to have probably a pretty successful outdoor meet before this pandemic canceled all spring seasons. What was that like for you, and how did the coaching staff kind of break the news to you that essentially half of the highlight of your year, one of your 2 seasons, was being shelved?
Man, I was devastated. I was so sad. I was there and I was just like, I almost cried because I was so so upset with the fact that I didn't realize that it would have been like my last triple jump ever. And luckily, I PR'd by like 9 inches or so on that, and I broke like a personal goal. And my personal goal was 50 feet since I started triple jump ever in high school. So to do that on what I thought was my last jump it was fantastic. But knowing that I could have jumped further and having that momentum going into outdoor, I was really upset because there were some meets that I wanted to qualify for outdoor that I knew I could have based on the momentum I had. So just having it abruptly just stop, it really hurt. And I found out I was just badgering Coach Thompson for updates because I just needed to know so badly what was going to happen because I was looking forward to qualifying for hopefully qualifying for like regionals and then other meets and whatnot. So I was kind of I was texting him so often for any little update because there was a span of like 3 days or so where it was update after update after update after update after update where it's just like this team canceled their season, then this league canceled their season, then this league canceled their season, then team in our league canceled their season, then our league canceled our season, then and cancels this too, and that NCAA and indoor nationals is just closed, and people were there, and I'm just seeing that, and I'm just like, this is so crazy, and just to think that this was all my senior year was kind of just, it was, my jaw dropped just seeing every new update. So I think I found out, I was in my locker room and I found out, and someone made some like snarky comments to me about it, just like trying to joke around, and I was not having it, and I just walked away, and I went home, and I was just silent, and I was just like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. So, but luckily, I was able to apply for the MBA program here because they had a extension on the application deadline, and I got in, and now luckily I'll be able to compete again next year outdoor, which became a dream come true because I know that I can jump a lot further and do a lot more damage. So now I'm looking forward to that. But for a while, I was really upset. I did not take it too well.
And obviously, now with, as you mentioned, getting into the MBA program and the NCAA granting that, the extra waiver year for spring athletes, you're able to laugh about it. But in that interim period before the NCAA, it took a couple of weeks or so for the NCAA to make that decision. How did you kind of cope with those emotions?
I kind of just was like, wow, I'm really not an athlete anymore. And I took advantage of that by just sometimes just sitting around and doing nothing for the sake of knowing that I could sit around and do nothing. And just being like, I don't have to get up and do something right now. So let me take a little bit of time to appreciate that before I really start getting back into trying to figure out a way to keep myself active. So I kind of just like pigged out for 2 weeks or so just because I've never been able to really do that. And I mean, I've been doing track since freshman year of high school, and I always tried to keep a pretty strict regimen of how like I'm like diet and whatever to a certain extent. But then it hit me really hard that I don't have to do that anymore. So I was just like, let me take advantage of this for a little bit of time, and then when the time is right, I'll start to get back into things. So I just took the time to really relax for the first time in my entire life for the or athletic career at least. So I took it like pretty well because I was just like, let me just embrace this right now because this is my new reality. So let me just sit there and appreciate this for a hot second before I start going back to routine like working out and whatnot.
So now that you are coming back to Binghamton and getting ready to compete in next year's outdoor season, how are you now trying to remain in shape?
Well, I mean, I was given my summer workouts from my strength and training conditioning coach, and Coach Thompson sent us our workouts. So I've been doing those. I just started about a week and a half ago. So I've been doing that, and then I've been trying to run a couple miles a day when I can, and then doing like ab workouts and whatnot, and then just cutting out a little bit of like sweets and whatnot that I usually do, that I was eating for the past like month or so. So I just been doing that, and I was luckily able to access a couple weights recently, so I've been able to lift a little bit, which is better than nothing. I'm just happy that I could do something at least in this time. So I've just been doing that and trying to just drink a lot of water like I usually do, and just making sure that in this time, I make sure that I can do everything I possibly can to make sure that when I do get back into being able to go to like the gym and whatnot, and being able to go about my normal workouts, that I haven't lost a lot, because you can take a little bit of time off and blink and just be way more out of shape than you thought. So as long as I can maintain, that's what I plan on doing, and it's what I've been doing. So.
And how do you both physically and mentally kind of prepare for outdoor, knowing that you now don't have an indoor season because you've used up all your eligibility for indoor track and field, but you are returning, so you basically now have a year between competitions. How does that how do you prepare for that?
You just remain mentally focused. I just know I have some concrete goals in mind that I know will take a lot of discipline, because it's going to take me so long to compete. But as long as I keep my goals in the back of my head, and remain disciplined, then that's all I really need. And luckily, I imagine that this program will be pretty heavy workload. So I think that really sinking my head into my schoolwork and just keeping my head on straight will allow me to really be able to stay focused in this time. But as long as I keep my goals in mind, then I think I'll be okay. And hopefully time will fly, but at the same time, I don't know, I take it day by day, but I just try to keep my goals in mind whenever I think about that.
From the academic side of things, how has it been for you adjusting to online classes? And have you, what have been some of the changes that you've had to make, or you've seen professors have to make? What's that been like?
I really do not like it. I really, really do not like it. Some people, like, they think that it's a luxury to be able to just sit at home and do online classes, but the thing I like about school and class the most is how engaged I am in class. And I was able to take a couple design classes this semester, which I was really excited about. And those are super, super hands-on, and you're really like working a lot through every class. So I look forward to those classes every day. So doing that through Zoom, it's just not at all the same atmosphere. And it's upsetting because I found myself enjoying the classes I was taking not for the first time, but like it really felt like I was excited to go to class routinely. So not to be able to do that, it kind of hurt. And one of my classes, actually, the teacher sent some email out like a month ago saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that all this is going on. I understand the difficulties." So he made, sorry, made huge adjustments in the syllabus, basically taking like half the assignments out and making the lowest grade we get like a B or something like that, which is crazy because I was just like, this is really like something for him to be like, "I'm so sorry that we're all going through this. I understand. So for the sake of that, I'm making it that much easier for you guys." So that's just one of the adjustments. And then I don't know, it's really hard to really get engaged to like online class. And then there's like a relative lack of organization, just because it's a really big adjustment that no one was really prepared for, to the extent that it is. So some teachers are handling it better than others, and because of that, they're making certain adjustments and whatnot. But it's just way easier for me, and just I prefer it to actually be at school and go to class and whatnot. So
Another aspect of your well-rounded experience at Binghamton, a member of the live stream production crew for our ESPN and America's TV broadcasts. Certainly, all things considered, the plus side of things is we get you back for another year or so. What has your experience with that area been like, and what have you enjoyed from it?
Well, I mean, when I first, so I switched majors my junior year, and I kind of did that, and I just did not know really what to do with myself, and I felt kind of lost in finding extracurricular things that I could really delve into. And this was the first experience that I was presented with, and I was so excited to be able to do something like this. So that was I always thought of it as one of the best opportunities that I've had at Binghamton, especially because I was able to do it right when I switched. So that experience has just been one that I've appreciated because it was the first real experience that I felt good about extracurricular wise towards switching my career path. So, and I've learned a lot through it, and I'm glad that I won't be competing for so much time because it allowed me to get back to that. And I've this past couple, well, before quarantine and whatnot, and I left. I was super busy with classwork and whatnot and track, but to be able to get back to that, I'm looking forward to because I was able to do it pretty heavily when I first started, and then I wasn't able to because my workload picked up, and then track just my schedule just didn't really allow for it, and I was kind of upset because that's something that I actually look forward to doing routinely. So I'm actually looking forward to getting back to that because the time I will have will allow me to really go back into that and learn more again. So I'm really excited to be able to get back into that, but that's just one of those experiences that I'll be forever grateful for.
And how has that changed maybe your experience with that crew? How has that changed your perception of, if you turn on a game and watch it, do you kind of view it through a little bit of a different lens now?
Oh, for sure. I really pay attention to the camera angles and cuts and whatnot with regards to every sport I watch because I'll tell my parents about it and I'll tell them certain specific camera angles that you pay attention to that are specific to certain sports. So, for example, I'll be watching a basketball game with my dad and I'll tell him exactly where the camera needs to be during a free throw. And he knows that now and he thinks about it when he watches it now because he knows that I've been behind the camera for that part of it. And then little cuts between plays and graphics and whatnot. I've been telling them about all that kind of stuff. So it really gives me an interesting perspective because being behind the scenes of that, I really just appreciate all that goes into a more major sports production. And I also notice mistakes more in production. So I've seen like a camera do something where I see like a cameraman might have, I don't know, tripped over or something. And you'll see the camera kind of go wobbly and they'll switch immediately. And I know I just see that and I kind of laugh to myself because I'm like, I've definitely been there before where you like tripped over a wire and the camera's all shaking and you're like, oh no. So it just really made me appreciate all that goes into sports broadcasts.
Well, we're certainly, if there's any good to come out of this whole ordeal that we've been going through these last several weeks, we're glad that it works out so much that you can come back to Binghamton, finish out your outdoor season, and join us again on our broadcast. So Matt, thank you very much for taking time out of your day, and I hope you and your family and your girlfriend's family stay healthy and safe.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to, I felt like my time at Binghamton, I felt like didn't really accomplish everything that I wanted to. So the ability to be able to do that and really kind of finish the way I wanted to and would like to is something that I'm very appreciative of. So to a farewell tour, that's why I'm considering it.
All right. Well, we hope to see you. We can't wait to see you back on campus, hopefully sooner rather than later.